it, Sarah. All day. Hell yeah.
Arm wrestling's about to take place.
Yeah. Buddy, how you doing? Paul Italia here. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I got a special guest tonight. He earns the title of the Side Pressure King. And after seeing his performance last weekend, all hail the Side Pressure King. Welcome, Todd Hutchins, a.k.a.
Howdy.
Toddzilla.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to first start off and just congratulate you on that performance last weekend, brother. That was just amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How you feeling? How you mentally? How you physically after last weekend's big war?
Doing good. Got back into the gym Monday morning. So I'm back to my normal training program as of Monday. Sunday, we spent Sunday driving home. So
I know Mondays are your big speed day. I know you're up at 3:30 a.m. So
Yep.
Nothing slowed down after your big match. So you were right back in the gym Monday morning?
I was right back in the gym Monday morning. Things were a little sore, but after about an hour of warm up or so, everything fell right into place. So, this morning's workout was a bit stronger than last weekend's anyway. So
I wanted you to take me through last weekend, that Saturday, right when you first wake up on competition day. Just kind of take me through your full day of what it looked like.
Let's see. Got up late because I worked all day Friday, and then it was like a 6-hour drive or so. So woke up Saturday morning, probably like 8-9 o'clock. Went and had breakfast. Went to CVS, bought a whole bunch of groceries and stuff. Went back to the room. Went back to bed. Slept till, I don't know, just mostly hung out in bed, ate off and on. We showed up to the venue to sign those shirts and stuff, I think at around 5:30. I wasn't on until 9. So went back and just basically rested and ate instant mashed potatoes until like 8:30. Showed up at 9. I think I showed up at 9:30. I don't think I was supposed to arm wrestle till almost 10 o'clock.
So during the day of a competition, what do you normally eat? What is your nutrition look? Do you do anything special, or it's just another normal day for Toddzilla?
It's almost a vegetarian diet. But it's mostly pasta and it's carbs. I love instant mashed potatoes and gravy and ramen noodles and macaroni and cheese. So I eat that stuff.
So slow acting carbs is your main nutrition you like to get in you for a day of competition.
Yep. Lots of carbs, lots of water, lots of salt. So
I had a very big question that I had Lachlan Adair on yesterday. We were talking about your guys' match and all. And I brought up the question to him. I was wanted to know, well, I kind of brought this up to him. I was telling him about your physical appearance when I seen you in Lindale, Texas, when you showed up against Corey West. And I believe that day you were peaked out, bro. Just by the way you looked, I was just like, wow, this guy is totally peaked out. Then comes last weekend in Percival, Virginia, and you show up to that super match, and my mouth just literally dropped to the floor. You looked like physically a whole nother specimen of a man. Is this true? Do you feel like you were peaked more against Lachlan or Corey West?
I don't. The one in Texas, traveling there was a little more grueling. I don't know. No, I think I was about the same. I was probably within 3 or 4 pounds weight wise. I was stronger against Lachlan because I trained for another month or so. I'm still getting stronger every week. I still set PRs, 90% of the time. So I was probably a few percent stronger against Lachlan than I was against Corey.
All right, and I'm trying to figure out what the gap looks like between you and say Lachlan Adair. So if we put you at a 10 ranking between 1 and 10, where do you have Lachlan at right now?
I would put Lachlan somewhere in the level of RVJ, Jordan Sill, Marcio Barbosa, Matt Mask. I think Marcio and Matt Mask might be a little better than him. I think he might be about where RVJ and Jordan Sill are. I think the difference between those top middleweights and the lower tier super heavyweights where I am is probably a few percentage points. So if I'm a 10, let's take 2% off that and put him at 9.8.
Wow, so it really is that close.
I think so. I think a lot of times between the top middleweights and the super heavyweights is more of a geometry problem than a power problem.
Very interesting. So I know you said you got to the venue at about 9:30 p.m. Did you get a chance to watch the match between Wayne Withers and Austin Jaggers?
I watched it, not closely, and I was standing, let's see, if you're in the audience, I was standing behind the right-hand side of the table. So I was looking at like one competitor's back. And I know Austin Jaggers. I practiced with him in Dayton not too long ago. But yeah, I saw Wayne top rolling the daylights out of him. Austin's strong. Austin's a very, very strong guy. But yeah, I saw that. That was I really didn't know how that would go, but I think Austin was definitely the underdog walking into that match.
Were you surprised at all, or you kind of figured that Wayne was going to have the better of him that day?
No, the fact that Wayne won didn't surprise me. If I would have saw Austin win, I would have gone, I wouldn't have expected that, but I would have found it wholly within the realm of possibility. I probably think Wayne was probably a 60-40 favorite in that, maybe 70-30. It's hard to judge upcoming matches like that because unless you can go and see how they're training the last month leading up to it, it's just too hard to make those predictions.
And we had another big match right before yours. We had the return of Travis Bajent going against Brandon the Warrior El Cesar. Any thoughts on that?
I didn't think Travis would lose. I know Brandon. I've pulled Brandon multiple times over the last several years, and I didn't think Travis would lose. I didn't think Travis would lose one bit. So.
Now, do you say that after seeing the physical appearance of Travis, or do you say that just knowing Travis's reputation of being one of the best left-hand arm wrestlers ever to live?
I said that before I got to West Virginia, and I would have said that the 2 minutes before that match started. I would have, if I had money to bet, I would have bet on Travis. There wouldn't have been any doubt in my mind.
Now,
I think Brandon beating Travis was a remarkable upset. I think it was a very substantial and significant upset.
Yeah, I got to admit, I wasn't too surprised at it just because I know how Travis is. And, I kept pushing him and trying to get him training, but, I don't think he really was taking it too seriously. And I think he kind of underestimated Brandon that day. And me being with Brandon a couple of weeks before in Washington State and seeing the big performance he put on there, beating Jacob Abbott, Jordan Sill, Andre Sharkovich, all left hand, I knew this was going to be no walk in the park for Travis. So I definitely kept trying to warn him. He kind of wasn't hearing it. So I think he's kind of hopefully got the fire lit under him after that loss.
Oh, yeah, because those guys are all middleweights. So.
That's a major problem if you're trying to call yourself the left-hand GOAT.
All right.
So,
well, everybody loses.
But as far as that, do you see Travis really taking this seriously and making this one more comeback, or do you think his day is already past and Travis has moved on to more of a promoter of arm wrestling?
I was surprised to find out Travis was arm wrestling. So I didn't know he was. I mean, I know he was supposed to have a match with Cody Merritt. I thought I heard that promoted months ago. Then I haven't heard anything about it. So I was surprised to hear that he came back to pull Cody Merritt. I was very surprised to find out he took this match, because this match was only announced like a few weeks prior to the event. So, yeah, I didn't think Travis was back competing again until I heard that he was pulling Brandon.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
and to
as
correct
far as
something, I do know that 9.8 is not 2% less than 10. So I guess I should have said 9.98. That would be 2% less than 10. So if anybody's out there checking my math, I know how to do math. So.
Thank you for that clarification, Todd. So now I want to get back to your match. So now you hear your name being called and you go up to the stage. Kind of want to just get your feeling right now. Is your adrenaline pumping? Are you nervous? Are you very confident? What are you feeling at that particular moment?
Oh, I'm nervous. I've been nervous.
Okay, now
I've been nervous for like weeks.
Okay. So what was the first reaction when you gripped up with Lachlan and you felt his head?
When we first gripped up at the start, it was comfortable grabbing a normal size hand for a change, as opposed to a super heavyweight hand. It was I noticed he was, I can't remember the very first time, but he would put his thumb in a different position almost each time. But I expected him to top roll. The top roll is the safest move you can do against somebody if you don't know them. So I was expecting him to go backwards, and and I told everybody I was going backwards, because if you don't know anybody, you don't want to come in towards the center of the table one bit. So the first match, I was pretty confident I knew how it would go, and I knew what I was going to do. So
when was the first time you knew you had it? Like he had no shot, that you were just going to go right through him?
Oh, after the second start. The first start, I got a foul. I thought I got a foul for going early, but Travis said I got a foul for covering the knuckle. And so even then, my hand didn't get compromised and the match came my way, but I just thought, well, maybe Lachlan missed go. Maybe he was just a little slow off the start. The second match, I just didn't feel him hitting my hand really that hard. So after the second start, I go, man, I felt like I had a lot of options after that second start, because I felt like I could hold him flat and hold my knuckles high, with the speed and the power he was hitting at. His hit was not hurting me like I was expecting it to.
What do you remember from 2 years ago when you first gripped up with him? What would you make the comparison from 2 years ago until now? Has he progressed a lot in your eyes, or it was pretty much the same feeling?
Well, he was really, really strong back then. And back then we pulled palm to palm, and I felt his side and back pressure were good. But what was phenomenal back then was when the match stopped, his ability to pronate out of my hand. This time the matches weren't that long, and when they went inside real deep, wrist to wrist, and it's hard to pronate out of there if you're locked wrist to wrist, because you're really tight on the wrist. You can almost open your fingers, so it's very hard to pronate out of a match when you're buried that hard on your wrist. And they went inside so low that it was like a 3-step match, because I'm set up to hit high and backwards. It stops. Then we drop down in that low hook. So I'm not positioned for that. So I got to now move my feet. And then, there's a little stall part there. So then there's the finish part. So like there's the hit, the pause, and then the finish. So it was really weird that each match had like 3 distinct, regions to it.
Now, what would you consider yourself when you were there 2 years ago in Australia? What was your fitness level then, like your strength level, 1 to 10?
Well, I had just pulled Jerry Catarat like the month or so before. I had gotten divorced just a few months before that. And after the Jerry Catarat match, I was in the hospital for a week. I had arterial fibrillation. So, and doing what all people do when they recover, I was drinking a hell of a lot. But I was still strong, I was still strong practice wise. My power and stuff was there, but to win a competition, you got to be snappy. You can't just, have all low speed horsepower. A lot of it's got to be a rapid application of force, and a ready go is a lot different than two people gripped up and nodding at each other and when they're going to pull, because in the practice pulls, nobody was hitting. It's rude to hit somebody in practice unless you agree that you're going to be hitting. So in the practicing, we weren't doing any hitting. And
can you give me an actual
momentum translates to force.
Can you give me an actual number though, just so I know what you were at that day and what you consider yourself at last weekend?
Well, let's see. It was, when was that? 18. So if it's 2018, if I get 4% stronger every year, it's 18 to 19, 19 to 20, 20 to 21. Those 3 years ago, I was probably 12% weaker than I am now. I'm probably 12 to 15% stronger now than I was 3 years ago. I don't know where he would be. I mean, he would know where his strength and stuff would be, but I'm probably 12% stronger.
I love the exact precision with your percentages and all.
Well, you can follow it. My PRs are typically in the 1 or 2% range, for a year or so. And, my training, my lifts are all posted, so you can see how I'm progressing.
Everyone, get over to Todzilla's YouTube channel. Amazing channel. He puts up all his training. Everything's up there for free. I mean, take full advantage of it. I mean, you get to learn what the best in our sport is doing for their training. So, and you get to see the exact numbers. So you get to see how you weigh up against the best in our sport. So make sure to get over there and subscribe. I heard in Lachlan's recap that you gave him a few pointers on what to work on. So I wanted to see if you could share a couple of those pointers with us, what you told Lachlan that night.
Yeah, well, it's stuff that I haven't shared to other people. One thing is I see a lot of people training hands and, you want to make your wrists and hands strong. I don't do that laying my forearms across my leg, barbell curl stuff. I've never seen an arm wrestling match where that move was even close. I don't see a lot of like doorknob turning movements in arm wrestling. I don't see a lot of full range bicep movement in arm wrestling. I like those really heavy single rep bicep lifts. I think are sexy as hell. I think it's really cool to see somebody, set a strict curl record. But when I'm arm wrestling, my biceps don't go through full range. And I've never come home from an arm wrestling competition and said, wow, I really need my biceps stronger, or my biceps are sore. I've just never felt that. I just don't spend that much time. I don't train biceps for anything other than basically rehabbing the elbow or as a means to train my hand. But I've preached this for years. You got to do max effort work. You can lift a light weight 100 different ways. If I told you to put a 10-pound plate over your head, you could probably do it 10, 15 different ways. If I told you to put 300 pounds over your head, you've got one method of doing that. That's the most efficient way to do that. That's why you have to train these heavy 1-rep maxes. When people say, I set a new PR, I go, really? What is it? Well, I can now do 10 reps at this weight. That's not a PR, Well, I used to only be able to do 10 reps with 100 pounds. Now I can do 10 reps with 110 pounds. I go, I'm not so sure you're stronger. That just tells me you can lift 110 pounds. That doesn't tell me how much weight you can lift. So, but that's my philosophy and approach. There's others. There's people who spend 3 and 4 hours a day in the gym lifting all kinds of volume. Hands, biceps, They're used in a static fashion in an arm wrestling match. I think they should be trained statically. Your hands specifically, you engage your hands in an arm wrestling match primarily through activating your back and shoulder. I think you should train your hands where your back and shoulders are moving the weight, and not resting your hand and like curling it or something. So all of that stuff is like how grip competitors train, putting their hands in rice buckets and stuff like that. I don't think it's as efficient way of training for an arm wrestling match.
I seen that video you did with Ryan Bowen in the last few days, and he was asking the question, is old man strength real? And he had you come on, and of course, you being 55 years old and going around the world and just dominating all the top elites and all. So at the end of it, he definitely believes that it is a true thing. What's your whole take on old man strength?
Old man strength is real to the fact that the longer you train, the more time you have to build mass, bone, and tissue. There's not an advantage to being older. A 60-year-old guy who trained for 20 years will be stronger than a 30-year-old guy who trained for 5. But a 60-year-old guy won't be stronger. A 60-year-old guy who trained for 20 years won't be stronger than a 50-year-old guy who trained for 20 years. There's no advantage to age like there is to weight. But what people consider old man strength is usually one of two things. It's the cumulative effect of years of training, or it's a man who has specialized of work, like the classic circus strongman who can lift all these funny objects. Well, he's probably not stronger than the college athlete sitting in the audience. It's just that college athlete's never seen that big heavy dumbbell before, and this old man's been lifting it for 15 years. Give me that college athlete, give me that dumbbell, and give me a month or two, and that college kid will lift it. So there's no advantage to just being old, but there is an advantage to training, and there's an even bigger advantage to specializing in what you train.
I think a lot of that has to do with muscle memory also, because I know with my bodybuilding background, like you said, putting all those years in, your muscle definitely gets more dense. It gets more striated look. Where I see a lot of these newer guys out, they're not as striated and ripped, and it takes them a little longer to get there, where, us older guys been put in the work 20, 25 years, hitting the same exercises. It definitely gives that muscle a different look, a more granite look.
Mm-hmm.
So
20 years
sure
is a lot of time to put muscle on a body.
How many years do you think he's going to need to come back and to actually be at that world elite level?
Oh, world level. I tell people all the time, it takes 2 to 3 years to become a national level super heavyweight, and about 4 to 5 to become a national ranked lightweight. But to be world level, oh man, that's odd. I think so. Once you're a national, so let's say you're in it for 5 and you're not a world level athlete, how long would it take to become world level? I would think if you go to Todzilla's channel and subscribe, you could be there in about 2 years. But not copying what Toddzilla does. What Toddzilla does works for Toddzilla, but you would learn how to train yourself. The reason why I don't do online coaching is it would have to be specialized to each person. What you can take from what you got to learn from training is work on your weak, set your overall strength goal. Find your weaknesses, strengthen your weaknesses. You can't just blindly copy and program your training like everybody else does. But if you did that and plug the holes in your own game, I would think 5 years plus 2 or 3 would make you would have you at that level. But that's some serious that's dedication that most people don't do. That's training 10 to 15 times a week. That's taking your ego out of it and taking some hard losses against top level people. And it's hard, and it's going to the big tournaments and taking, some butt whoopings in the early, to learn that stuff. But I think that would be reasonable. I think you could do it in less than 10 years. I think you could do it closer to, let's say 5 to 8. I would say 5 to 8 to become an elite level arm wrestler.
And Todd, is that how long it took for you? Because I know you've been arm wrestling now for, I think it's 21 years, you said. But I also know.
Yeah, I probably wasn't a national level arm. It took me almost 4 or 5 years to become national level. And for me to become to where when John started carrying me around the world and pulling people, I was probably in it for 10. So, I mean, it took me longer than what I'm telling you kids it'll take you. So.